Tom Shedd, did you want to share your story? Tom's had an interesting story on comparing his treatment journey and how he evaluated whether to have local treatment or pursue a different way.
To really understand why I chose Dr. Dattoli over other doctors, you really have to understand my background. And ever since I was a kid, around 5 years old, I asked my dad where his mom was. She had passed away from cancer. So for about 55 years, I've heard the word cancer. My grandmother, when I was about 10 years old, contracted breast cancer, and the family physician operated on her and proclaimed that he got it all. And a year and a half went by, it came back. So they gave her cobalt-60 treatments. So that didn't work, and she wound up into the hospital, and they tried experimental chemo in the 60s, and she passed away. So in '89, my father was diagnosed with small cell carcinoma, and the doctors here had a certain regimen. And by that time, since I was in computers and a computer analyst, I knew how to research. So I called New York, Sloan Kettering, MD Anderson, UCLA, and they had different modes than what was prescribed here. So I said, this time around, I'm going to take the bull by the horns. And I did. So I consulted with the doctors outside of the city. I said, hey, listen, these guys use these different types of modalities. Why isn't it used here? You know what they said? Nothing. So what we had done was the modalities that were done at MD Anderson and Sloan Kettering. We had the best of both worlds. Fast forward to 2013. My PSA over a 10-year period went from 1 to 2, 2.5, 2.7 to a 7.8. So my family physician said, you gotta see a urologist. I said, fine. So that before I saw my urologist, I had ordered a bunch of books on Amazon. One of them was the latest and greatest techniques of treating prostate cancer. And one of the things he said emphatically was, you get an MRI or you get a color Doppler. So when they do the biopsy, they know where they're sticking the needles, as opposed to a blind biopsy, which is pretty much the norm around here. So with that knowledge, I saw a well-known urology group here, and they said, oh, an MRI will be too dark. We won't be able to see anything. Well, I knew that was a complete lie. So I then went to another group. As a matter of fact, I found out where a MRI machine would highlight a prostate so that you could do a targeted biopsy of the bad areas. I mean, when a woman has a lump in her breast, they don't just randomly stick 12 needles in there. Or when a man has a tumor in his lung, just stick 12 needles anywhere. They know it precisely. And it's the same way that prostate cancer should be treated. Okay, from there, I had an MRI, and it was, I had the biopsy, it was targeted biopsy, and the results came back. So, and in the book said, get a second opinion on your slides. So I did. Sent them to Sloan Kettering. Guess what? They were different. this is not a complete given. It's different. The science behind this is debatable. The more opinions you have, the better off you're going to be. So the time I knew that I had a Gleason 7 reported here, Sloan Kettering upped it to a Gleason 8. There was a meeting here with Dr. Dattoli, a question and answer session. He explained that with cancer, I don't care what it is, breast or whatever, there's tentacles, microscopic, that leave the main part where it's at. You can't even see it, not even on a microscope. So that led me to believe if you can't see it, if you have surgery, you're going to have to follow up with radiation, which begs the question, if you have radiation after that, why not just have radiation? So then I saw how Dr. Dattoli explained how he would first shut off the fuel to the cancer. Well, that's the hormone therapy. Okay. Then he would hit it with the 4D radiation. Okay. Then he would hit it with the seeds. Okay. And then he would have follow-up radiation to the lymph nodes. Plus, he advised me it would be a good idea to get the Farahim scan down in Orlando, which saved my life. Because they did a lymphatic scan, the pelvis, abdomen, and neck. And they found 2 places where I had lesions of 2 to 4 millimeters. And Dr. Dattoli said, don't worry, we're going to target those lymph nodes. I'm surprised that they're there, but nonetheless, we're going to destroy them. And I don't care, in my opinion, if you got prostate cancer, you need to have that MRI or an ultrasound, which he had up there, to see what you're doing. And then you need to target those areas, because you could miss a sample. You could drill in and find a Gleason 6 and have a Gleason 9 right next to it, or 10. You have to have images, 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 images. And that's what Dr. Dattoli believes in. That's what I believe in. And also, you have to hit it with everything you've got the first time. So, if I was going to bet my life with anybody, when I looked at Dr. Dattoli's statistics, 16-year survival, 89%, I said, I'll take those odds. And that's why I chose him. Plus, he has a world-class rating, which is an incredible feat to have, an achievement. And you've seen the man talk. When you talk to him, he is not condescending, talks to you as a person, he knows what he's talking about, and he is by far the best I've ever seen in my life, including the doctors at MD Anderson.
Are you finished, Tom, with your treatment? Or?
Right now, I've done at 37 radiation, 4D, hormone therapy, brachytherapy. I leave in about 2 weeks for 2 weeks of radiation that's going to hit the lymphatic system. And I'll be done. He gave my odds 90% plus. I'll take those odds.
Very good. Any questions for Tom?